Hi, this is Acorn Electron and this is the power board for this machine. This provides +5 and -5 volts for the motherboard. And unfortunately this unit is broken, so today we will try to see can we fix it, and if we are not able to fix it we will see what are the alternatives for this little board. So let's start. Hi, this is the power unit from the Acorn Electron computer. So this is the power supply board and this is the power adapter. So this power adapter is just a transformer that produces 19 volts AC. The 19 volts AC through this cable goes right here. And what this little board outputs or generates is simple +5 volts on this red line, ground of course, and -5 volts here. So pretty simple board. Unfortunately this board is faulty. Now usually people have problem with power adapters, and this is just a transformer inside that produces 90 volts AC, and usually the problem is either a transformer or the cable itself that causes the problem. But unfortunately this is not the case here. So the problem that we have here is this power board that usually sits inside the computer. So 19 volts AC coming in here from this plug, and we produce +5 volts DC and -5 volts DC for the main power main board for the Acorn Electron here. And you would think that this is simple voltage regulators producing these voltages. Unfortunately not. This whole board looks more like an amplifier than a voltage regulator board, but I digress. So the only reference that we have is from service manual, from the Acorn Electron service manual, and this is a circuit diagram that we have. Unfortunately we don't have any values related to this each particular element or other part numbers or anything like that. So the only information that we can have is from the board itself. Now if we this board is supposed to be built by company called Aztec, and we do have some serial numbers, some writings here, but if you try to Google this it will give you nothing. This is probably serial number of the board or version of the PCB, will give you nothing. So the other problems that we have is some parts numbers or markings that we have on some elements are not genuine part numbers, but more of the serial number of that inside that company. So try to find them online, it will give you nothing. The problem is this one. This is not actually a transistor. It's like two transistors coupled into one, some weird part. Also this little fellow, it's power transistor, and also I was not able to find any data sheet about it. So forget about these two wires. This is just something that I added to do some testing and measurement. The way I try to troubleshoot this board is simply plug in the power adapter 19 volts AC here and just go over the circuit diagram and try to use a multimeter and try to probe the points, certain points, see do I have a voltage or not, especially checking all the transistors. And what I found out first was that this Q4 transistor, and that's this one, was faulty. I didn't have any voltage output here, so I found the equivalent one. So I was not able to find the original one. That's the other problem, that these transistors are their production is long gone, so you kind of forced to find the equivalent one. And that's the other problem, is that I'm not really sure if this is a correct equivalent, but nevertheless I did, after replacing this Q4, I finally get some voltage going to Q5, and that's this one. And then this Q5, well, I believe that this should produce 5 volts, but not really. It just passes out the voltage over to this side, and again what I get here is 17 volts DC and -1 volts here, so obviously something is dead wrong still. And because these capacitors here have rating to up to 10 volts, that means that after this coil we should only have 5 volts or -5 volts. So we still have some problems, and now we are going to continue troubleshooting this board. Okay, in case that you don't want to mess around with fixing this little unit, there is a couple of solutions to replace this little board, and I believe that I will go in one of those directions at the end, just because there are newer power supplies and so on, more reliable. Okay, so the first option is we have meanwhile PD 2505 power supply, and this actual little power supplies give us exactly +5 volts and -5 volts, exactly what we need, and also its dimensions are just right, exactly almost the same dimensions like this little board. Just it will fit nicely. The second option is to use two separate power supplies, so little power supplies that give us +5 volts. This is ground, this is the whatever AC, some kind. So we have +5 and ground, and we have another power supply +5 volts and ground AC here. So what can we do is simply join these two together, and that will give us this +5 volts will continue to be +5 volts. This will be ground, sorry, and this will become -5 volts. And these power supplies don't have to be the exact power, so you can combine different power supplies. Also with this little board, this +5 volts is actually rated at maximum 1.5 amperes, and this -5 volts is only up to 100 milliamps. So there are different power rating, different rails are different powers. So exactly here we can combine to this plus 5 volts get more power than this, so this could be just a little small power adapter, and you can combine this, and this is exactly what I have done when this unit broke down. I replace it with this combination. So this is my Acorn Electron, and this is how story goes. So a couple of months ago I had a workshop, and one of the computers that I intended to bring was this Acorn Electron, but 2 days before the workshop I just wanted to test the machine, and I plug it in and nothing, it was completely dead. So my biggest fear was a ULA chip. Luckily it wasn't ULA, it was a power supply, and this little board simply died. So I needed some kind of fix quickly, something that I could buy locally, some replacement. I needed plus 5 volts and minus 5 volts DC to power motherboard of this computer, and this is when these options with two power supplies combined together, two power supplies that gave us 5 volts each DC. When they combine together, we can get plus 5 volts and minus 5 volts. So just let me quickly show you how I botch all this together. Just quick fix to make it run. So I will need to buy adequate power supply for this computer. Like I said, Meanwhile has some nice solutions. Board already completed and produces exact voltages that we need. So let me open this computer gently, and okay, here we go. Okay, so this is, I don't know if you can see, I will try to focus a little bit. So this is two power supplies combined together. So this one is a bit more bigger power, so I use this to supply plus 5 volts, because we need up to 1.5 amps for 5 volts, and this one is for rated at 2 amps, and this is just a power adapter for the mobile phones that is not so strong, lower power, but this one produces minus 5 volts, and this one is used, and because the minus 5 volts rail on this computer actually uses up to 100 milliamps, so that's just fine. And this is one of the oldest adapters. They don't have anything smart on it, so just plug it in and it produces 5 volts, so that's okay. And the only other thing that I added on this computer is little bit heatsink on ULA and CPU, and I added a little fan just to try to keep all this area a bit more cooler, and this works just fine. It looks ugly because it was a quick fix and that I need to do quickly just to make it run, but I intend to replace it with proper meanwhile power supply, so this will go out, and in this area I will put PD2505, I believe it was, right. So this is it. I will close this. So this little transistor that is actually a powered NPN transistor has part number X44C758, and if you try to Google this or try to find a datasheet for this part, you will not able to find anything. The only thing that I could find is that this NT377 is equivalent or replacement for this transistor. I'm not really sure that they all fit with the same characteristics, but I don't know. I think I will try to replace it and see what will happen. The only two things can happen, or because this is not working, if I replace it with this, it either could not work still or just blow up and not work. So I think it will not be damaged. So sorry about forget about these two wires. This is just me trying to do some measurement and testing. These two wires don't exist in original power supply. Okay, so let's try to replace this transistor and see if this thing will blow up or not. The moment of truth. Let me plug this in and plug this power. So we have a voltage. This should be ground. Okay, let's try to see. Didn't blow, but we have 17 volts still, so we didn't do anything. And this is practically cool, and it's 17 volts. So there's something else wrong with this. So here we have 17, this is more than 17, so here is 26 volts that came from here. Okay, this 26 volts is coming from bridge rectifier, yes, and 16 volts coming from here, and all it does, it just transfers 16 volts. Maybe here we should have 5 volts. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do with this. So it's really difficult for me, at least, to troubleshoot this board, because I don't know at which point should I expect to have 5 volts or any other voltages here, or minus 5 volts. Is it here after this Q5 or after this T1? Now, obviously we do need here, because this rail is -5, this is +5, so, but this should definitely be 5 volts rails, but this one should be 5 volts, right? No, I don't know. And also this line is coupled to the ground via this C8, so maybe to check that, I don't know. C8, so that's this one. Maybe to get it out, but will that change anything? No. It's not short, right? It's not shorted. Check the continuity. No. Maybe to get that out, to test it. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with this board, but I think I will take all the components and simply store it away, just to wait some better times. So this is all for today, and I hope to see you next time. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.